The dovetail joint, part 2, marking out the pins. This is an example of the dovetail joint which we will mark out in this demonstration. The tools we will need to mark out this joint are a sharp HB pencil, a steel ruler, a sliding bevel, a tri-square and a marking gauge. These are the working drawings of the box dovetail joint which you will be provided with. Marking out the pins. From the working drawings we can see the length of the pins is equal to the thickness of piece A, which is 18 mm. So we need to measure 18 mm in from the end of piece B. I will use the thickness of piece A to measure this distance. We must ensure the end of piece B and the side of piece A are flush and place a dot. We then use the tri-square to square this measurement around our piece. We must always remember to keep the stock pressed firmly against either the face side or face edge of the piece. What we want here is accuracy. This next step is very important, so pay special attention. Place piece A on top of piece B as shown. Ensure the face sides are facing each other and the face edges are to the same side. Ensure that the face edges are flush and transfer 4 measurements to the shoulder line on the face side of piece B. Flip piece B over as shown. Place piece A lying on the table with the face side facing upwards. Please note that the face edges are still facing in the same direction and the face sides are still facing each other. Place piece B on top of piece A as shown. Transfer the 4 tail measurements from the shoulder line of piece A onto piece B as shown. Place piece B in the vise as shown. We will firstly work on the face side. We now need to gauge lines for the 4 marks on the shoulder line. This is the marking gauge. As you can see here, the stock of the marking gauge can move freely along the stem of the marking gauge. The stock is held in position by tightening the screw on the stock. To set the gauge to the first measurement, ensure the stock is pressed firmly against the face edge. Adjust the stem so that the spur touches the first mark. Just tighten the screw to set the mortise gauge. Always double check the measurement once the gauge is set. Once you are happy that it is set correctly, stab the shoulder line and graze a line along the surface of the timber. Ensure that the stock is pressed firmly against the face edge. Repeat this process for the next 3 marks on the shoulder line. This will result in 4 gauged lines on the surface of the piece. Heavy in these lines using a sharp HB pencil. Turn the piece in the vise and locate the 4 points we marked off earlier using piece A. Remember, because we turned the piece, the face edge is now on the opposite side. Again, we need to gauge these 4 measurements along the surface of the timber down to the shoulder line. Heavy in these lines using a sharp HB pencil. Now we have the tail's widest measurements gauged on the face side of piece B and the tail's narrowest measurements gauged onto the opposite side. Place the piece vertically in the vise. We now need to join these gauge lines up across the end grain. For this, I will use a sliding bevel which is still set to a slope of 1:6. This serves as a way of double checking if our gauge lines are correct. We will now carefully indicate waist. As the tails from piece A are going to slot into these sockets when the joint is together, it makes sense that these are the areas we will be removing. Our dovetail joint is now completely marked out.